Hey there, we're the Westlaw Pirates and welcome to the show. We're here to share our thoughts on Northwestern athletics and college sports with thoughts and analysis from the visceral to the statistical. We run our tailgate with the red pirate flag flying high above as we give no quarter, especially the fourth. I'm Sam Walter.
I'm John Lacombe.
And I'm Eric Skills-Gaspo.
4 in a row, baby.
Let's go. Go. What a game! What a game overall.
Yeah, I mean, incredible game. If you think back to the beginning of the season, and we were thinking of the best case scenario, right? We were like, okay, what's our path to a bowl game? What's our path to 6? Going 5-2 in our first 7 was like the best case scenario, right?
100%. That was as good as anyone could imagine. And we said it last week, but if I went to you and I was like, "You good with 5-2?" Every Northwestern fan would be like, "Yeah," and I'd be like,
"Yeah, hell yeah."
Yeah, and then I'd be like, "Now, how wedded are you to the Tulane game being part of that 5-2? Would you trade that for, say, a win in Happy Valley?" People would fall out of love with that Tulane game really quickly. Yeah, I mean this is a role. This is real. And this team has. I mean, we talked about that in the wake of that Tulane game, in kind of like the ashes of that. This was this point in time where we are right now was this focal point where we were like, for the love of God, 4-3 is possible here. Can we just arrive at 4-3 and feel like this team is improved by the time we get to Nebraska? And instead, we've got 5-2 and a team just steaming ahead.
Well, I think what's important about where we're at in this moment is Northwestern has really found and centered around an identity, and that identity has given them 4 wins in a row, and it's an identity that's going to be familiar to everyone, and maybe a little frustrating on the margins, but it's the running game and defense, and this game was a picture perfect display of that identity in front of the '95 Rose Bowl team, I might add. That's who Northwestern has been and who they want to be. And it's 232 yards rushing on the ground against a team that had been improving against the runs. This is better than Illinois did running against Purdue.
Yeah, no, you saw the way that Purdue kind of came into this game, right, on the back of that Minnesota game. And we'll talk about Nebraska later, but Purdue lost a game against Minnesota that Minnesota had no business winning. Because Purdue played the kind of sloppy football that they did. Now, did Purdue play sloppy football in this game? They sure did, and that's why one of these teams is 2-5 and the other one's 5-2. But beyond that sloppy football, Purdue, there was no breakthrough. There was no but for that, Purdue would no. Purdue got absolutely stoned in this game. They had a couple plays, but this is. Northwestern is the number 11 scoring defense in the country right now, and it's a testament to the ball control ability of the offense, which we'll get to later. But go ahead.
No. You talk about the ball control. Time Lords. Purdue ran 3 plays in the first quarter. 3. That's
absolutely
it. 39 minutes of time of possession we had, and it was just like. They never touched the ball, and that is, they had the ball a little bit late. They moved the ball late, when it was, the game was pretty much all but decided, and unfortunately they threw for more than 200 yards. So now we're no longer one of the only teams that has not let 200 yards passing against. But again, that was garbage time, and they in actual competitive play. It was even more lopsided as far as time of possession goes.
Well, I think we thought that this was a good matchup for our defense. We were a little bit worried about Purdue's ability to get over the top, and thought that this would be, Ryan Brown throws a nice, moon ball. He had one nice downfield connection where they did get over the top, and then Northwestern stripped it and took the ball back. But beyond that, we thought this could be a good matchup for our defense. We thought our defense was performing really well. And when, we've joked many times over the years about why not both a good offense and a good defense? And when you run consecutive drives of 14 plays, and then your defense is forcing a 3-and-out and a 4-and-out, Time Lords is what you get. This is how it works when you have a good offense and a good defense. Like,
Right.
welcome to the show, my friends.
Right. And look, there are little things that happened on the defensive side. There is the mess that the testament to Big Ten West football that was the fourth quarter of this football game.
Oofda.
And there were a couple of the coaching decisions in the first half. But you know what? I'm not going to sit here and quibble. I mean, look, I'm not trying to minimize any of that stuff, but I'm not going to lie to you and sit here and tell you that for an entire second sitting in the north end zone watching this football game, I didn't feel great because I spent the entire week worrying about a very dangerous Purdue football team. There was no point in this game where Purdue was in danger of winning the game. No point. There was not one point in this football game where I was like, oh, shoot, we might give this game away. Nope. We throttled them. Like you guys said, they touched the ball for 3 plays in the first quarter. They literally barely touched the ball in the first half of this football game. And our defense was just lights out. And by the time this game devolved into that kind of muck later on, the game was effectively over. We were all just looking for style points that we didn't get. Purdue was never going to win this football game. And I'm like, the list of times in the Big Ten when that happens is a short list. It's like,
there's so many times where we're bemoaning these kind of weird play calls, et cetera, because it resulted in us winning by a score or needing, a late field goal to win a game, et cetera. And that was not, the coaches kind of had the luxury today of getting a little squirrely and overthinking and getting a little cute. And it's the sort of thing that, I don't know, I guess like on one hand, you can kind of imagine that happening as they're sitting there looking at a 13-0 lead before half and thinking about, oh man, we can really blow the doors open. We can get this up to 20 going into halftime, and they fake that field goal, or fake the punt, which I think Braun wanted back, or maybe they just went for it on fourth down. I forget which, but
no, they faked the punt, and it was one of those like we were sitting there, and I'm like, are they gonna fake this? And unfortunately, Purdue was thinking that as well. I mean, they sniffed it right out. It was like, didn't need to do that.
Well, I was going to say the broader point here, I think, is that like we have some quibbles, we have some things to point at, but these are things that I think, unlike many times, as you said, John, in the Big Ten, the times that we've had the luxury of playing around in a Big Ten game and getting too cute, et cetera, and never ever being in jeopardy of losing are very few and far between. And I like one of the interesting things, you fast forward to the very end of this game, the last time Northwestern has the ball, we get that turnover. Hyman has the big run. We're down inside the red zone. And I think they just decided, look, F it. We are just running straight up the gut every play. Just even though we're running into an 8-man front who's all stacked within, 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, we're not going to get cute. We're not going to get weird. And I think there's a lot of, folks that were disappointed at the way that ended. I might have chosen a different running back to carry the ball, given the need to maybe break some tackles, et cetera. But Reeder had fumbled the last time out, and it just, end the game with the ball in your hands. That's a different drive. I'm sorry, but go to your identity and cram it down their throats. This wasn't, a shoot, we're going to give them the ball back if we miss this field goal and they're going to have a chance to drive down and tie the game or something. I just like broadly, I think there's a lot of, style points is a great way to put it. There's some complaining coming around after this game, and I all the points are valid, but I am not concerned about them moving forward. Is maybe what I'm trying to get at.
By the same token, this is our first shutout since 2017.
Well, in a piece of this, I guess we'll just in the interest of covering, I guess, the full offensive piece of this, and we can give the defense their flowers. But I mean, it's like the Lujan plays, on the opening drive, that people quibble with, and kind of like a little bit of the gadget stuff that came back out. We scored on that drive. We got 3 points on that drive. Where we lost 17 points in the second half is kind of like where Scuzz was going. It's like Deshaun Reeder, who's in the midst of an incendiary breakout season, running the football and playing special teams both ways, got just absolutely drilled and fumbled the football. Preston Stone threw his first pick in a month. And Jack Olson, the milkman, one of the Big Ten's best kickers, missed a field goal randomly.
Well, I mean, like it was a weird angle. It was on the far left hash. It was close.
And it's like, but I mean, it's like those are just like that's just like a bunch of random stuff. I'm not worried about any of those things. Like Stone's protected the football for a month. Reeder looks incredible, and we know Olsen is lights out as he was a week ago in Happy Valley, and as he was up to this point in this game. It's like, and then the Lujan piece of it. It's like, look, there's no way that I am grading the decisions Lujan made in the first drive of this football game as if this is still the UCLA game. Lujan's on a heater right now. 42 points against ULM, 275-yard touchdown drives in Happy Valley, and then he engineers an offense where Purdue literally doesn't touch the football for the first half of this game. Almost literally doesn't touch the football. I mean, that's the exact kind of offense that they're trying to run. And it's like, you know what? That guy on that kind of heater gets to try a couple things like this. And you know what? If it doesn't go the way it goes, then that's fine. But I mean, I'm just like everyone. It's like everyone in the stands was on it the second those two plays happened on the first drive. Everyone was on it after the game. It's one of the first things Braun got asked about on Monday. It's like everyone knows. But you know what? Lujan overall is cooking right now. And if some random things don't happen in the fourth quarter of this game, we put even more points on him. I have no complaints.
What was the second play beyond the Ryan Bowe run on the first drive?
Hyman taking a direct snap was the play directly before it.
Gotcha.
And again, but
I
again,
don't
it's
mind.
like,
Why not?
Hey, but I mean,
Bowe on 3rd and 4 from the 9 is a little like if it's 3rd and 1, I feel good about that. But 3rd and 4 is a little like that's telegraphing a little too much.
And again, this is not a Zach Lujan who spent an entire game getting in his own way. This team very much exercised their core identity all game long.
Yeah, and we didn't see that Bowe play again throughout the game. You know, clearly it's something he desperately wants to incorporate into the offense at some point. And I understand why people are scratching their heads and why this is causing some anxiety because it harkens back to the early part of last year. I mean, I remember diagramming at one point where like the number of times we'd been, with goal to go situations and not been able to score touchdowns was extraordinarily frequent in the first half of last season. Now, interestingly, this year, and this was a stat that they flashed during the Penn State game, was that Northwestern has one of the highest scoring rates inside of the red zone in all of college football. So to that point, like this issue that plagued us nonstop last year has been in many ways addressed here in 2025. And yeah, it reared its head a little bit in this game, but it's not something that I think we need to be, wringing our hands over as we look to Nebraska.
And like Hyman, Komalafe, and Reeder had 204 rush yards and averaged something like six yards a carry or five something yards a carry. The offensive line kicked the crap out of Purdue all game long. And Stone was a little squirrely in this game overall, throwing the football. You know what? You know when the guy wasn't squirrely? Last week in Penn State when he was awesome. It's like, you know what? Like, as we're fond of saying, to quote the Saturday Night Live skit, 100 floors of frights, they're not all going to be winners. It's like, Preston Stone has had a very good month. And that's still true after this football game, when he also threw 2 touchdown passes and threw a beautiful ball long to Hayden Elegon.
Yeah, Stone similarly, I think, showed some of his proclivity for errant passes in this game. Threw behind a couple guys. There was that pick on the play to Wilde. I don't know if he just didn't register that Purdue was in zone on that play and they had a guy in the shallow flat.
It looked like he was trying to force it. It looked like it was iffy, and he was like, let's go. Is kind of what it looked like to me.
I don't know. It looked bang. So I just watched the replay, and it was kind of bang bang, like plant his back foot, turn, and fired a wildy. And I mean, like this was not like there was no way that you could complete this pass without throwing an interception.
There were, and look, like, I mean, again, like again, Stone is in the middle of a great run right now and threw 2 TD passes in this game, both of which were great plays. And you know what, like from where we were sitting, it looked like maybe a couple of guys got missed at a couple points. And it's, I mean, again, like I would say like this wasn't Stone's best week, but it was more than good enough. And
it sure wasn't his worst week.
No, and again, by the time that pick happened, again, this game had been salted away. Like Purdue was in no danger of winning this football game. Like again, like I feel like I need to continue to revisit that point just because it's such a large overarching thing where it's like there was no cardiac cats here. There was no like it's like, oh, our heart palpitations, this game's going to take something off of our lives. And that was after a week where I was really nervous about this game all week because I was like, is this going to be a classic letdown game after a massive road win? Are we not going to hold a serve? Is it somehow going to get polluted? Not that I expected that to happen. It's just worried. I got worried about this team when Purdue's clearly such a dangerous football team on tape. I mean, you look at Brown. Yes, Brown got hurt. You could easily argue that Brown leaving the game and Singleton coming in the game gave them a spark, particularly how Singleton was running the ball early on. But Brown played over a half of football in this game and threw for 31 yards. This guy's thrown for 300 yards a bunch of times this season. And they had nothing for our defense. So,
yeah, they really had nothing for it. The defense was absolutely exceptional. We've been kind of focused on some of the deficiencies of the offense and the up and down play, and in a game where we dominated this team, where it counts. The offensive line had their way with Purdue, as we've already said,
as they have like in several weeks in a row. I mean, the O-line play has just been unreal.
This might be the best O-line we've seen since what, like 2005?
It's been a long time, and they're so good, and it's not just pass pro, and it's not just the running game because we've seen offensive lines that really are strong in one or the other. It is across the board. They're physical, they're nasty, and they just take over games. And on the other side, our defensive line had a just highlight show today. Everyone making hay, making noise. You've got Uline and Fitzgerald. Purdue had no answers, and I think it's really important because there's so many people that don't follow this closely. Purdue should have beat Minnesota last week. Purdue held Minnesota to 30 yards rushing. They held Darius Taylor to 2.3 yards per attempt on 14 carries. That dude ran for 150 against Nebraska this past weekend. Purdue's offense, they ran for 253. They threw for 200. Again, at Minnesota on the road. Coming off of that game to face Northwestern in a clear letdown spot. In a place in the type of game that Northwestern not has always lost, but has often found themselves in an absolute firefight and a down to the wire kind of, cardiac cats moment.
And you know what?
They got nothing. We stoned them.
And credit to Braun and the coaching staff for keeping the field, keeping the mood, keeping everyone's emotions from getting out of check. I mean, they came out, there was no sign of letdown whatsoever. Like coming off just right off the top and just grinding out a 7-minute drive. It was like they had these guys in exactly the right headspace.
Yeah, and I think if you're talking about headspace, but talking about like the leadership on this team, some of the senior leadership on this team, it's the guy to start with is Uline. This is I go back to our defensive preview before the start of the season, and the way it kind of structured on guys who we were looking to have breakouts, and those three guys, Fitzgerald, Kilbane, and Bruss, looking a lot of breaking out going on from those guys, but when I asked you guys, who's the guy that you're looking at, Scuzz was like Uline. And the point being, like, yes, we all know excellence is expected of Uline, and he's clearly one of the defensive leaders of this football team and this all Big Ten guy coming back. But you can't lose sight of how good he is. And that's the thing. Like that's Uline has been so friggin' good this season. And just because he came in as a defensive leader and we have these other guys breaking out, it's like, just want to shout from the rooftops, like how good he has been. And shouts to Jake Epstein, who's working for NU Comms, but has had just some awesome stats that he's been putting up in the wake of the Purdue game, and a couple of these incredible ones relative to Uline. One is, this is the total list of FBS players who have 50 tackles, 5 TFLs, and 3 interceptions right now. Mac Uline. That's the entire list. One guy has put up that. And it's just, you watch the way he's ball hawking. The other incredible stat that Epstein put up is when quarterbacks throw at Mac Uline, statistically, it would be better if they just threw the ball into the dirt. The passer rating that he's putting up when he's targeted is so low that the quarterback would be better off just chucking it into the dirt. Now, the interesting thing about that stat, and this is like the misleading piece about it, is this is what's incredible about Uline is quarterbacks never target Mac Uline. They always throw it to a spot they don't think Mac Uline's going to be in, and he's always there. He is just a predator back there. And it's amazing to, we were so lucky to have Xander Mueller right before this, where that was something he was unbelievable at too. And then you see the way that Uline's playing right now, and you're like, Tim McGarrigle, man, no one's coaching up linebackers better than this guy. But Uline is just, he's everywhere. He's in the backfield blowing plays up. He's making all the tackles in the middle of the field, and he's picking off balls like left and right. We have this dominant defense right now. Number 11 scoring defense in the country. And right in the middle of it is a guy who just can do no wrong.
So it's interesting because I've been thinking a little bit about the last time our linebacker core was so crucial to the success of the defense, I feel like was 2020. Maybe 2020.
Yeah.
With Fisher Gallagher. Yeah, the law firm. Fisher Gallagher and Chris Bergen. And Fisher was such a stalwart against the run, such a rock in the middle of that defense, and Uline has been that, but he has been more, and his pass coverage and his playmaking, and his ability to get into the backfield and tackles for loss. Like, these are things Patty didn't typically do. Patty was the rock that cleaned everything up, that allowed Gallagher and Bergen to make plays, and it's interesting to see both those characteristics kind of funneling through Uline, while that just unleashes Bruss to be a missile and just attack. And then you've got Fitzgerald playing this, do everything safety role in kind of the third linebacker spot. Bergen was used so often in coverage. He was almost like a safety out there as well. But we expected the defensive line to be the heart of this defense, and it's certainly, like, I'm not trying to give any short shrift to the defensive line. They've been everything we hoped they would be. But to me, this linebacker core is what has really taken this group to the next level this season.
Yeah, they've been incredible. Yeah, and that defensive line in front of them too, just doing an unbelievable job. I mean, I remember we said when Kilbane finally got his sack, we'd been watching him all game, and we're like, I mean, that was so deserved because he's just dominating out there. But I mean, Carmine, there's a play in this game where they just try to double Carmine, and it's like it works for a little while, and it's like, I guess you need more than 2 guys because you can only hold that guy back for so long that he just busts through. It's tough to say which is the play of the day, though, from which defensive lineman, because 2 other defensive tackles each made just an absolute unbelievable play. Flakes, as he said,
I don't care what you say. That was an interception.
Exactly. that was the thing. Is that it's gone in the books as a fumble recovery. He's calling it an interception. The key thing about that play, though, is it's a testament to a guy like, again, Flakes is one of the guys who shows like exactly how great this defense is. I mean, Flakes is a guy who transferred in from, I want to say, Marshall, or either decommitted from Marshall to come to Northwestern. I guess that's what it was. And has just gotten better and better and better every year. And last year and going into this year, we talked about, and this is why it should go as an interception, sneakily, Brendan Flakes is awesome at getting his hands on passes. He's really good at getting his arms up into the passing lanes. It's something he's clearly just worked at. It's a special skill that he has. And for a guy who's also really controlling the line of scrimmage and an awesome part of this defensive tackle depth, it was just hugely earned because he's always there. He's always ready to do that exact thing.
Not to argue with you, but I think part of his special ability is being 6'4".
Yeah, no, I mean,
he's a tree out there, and he's awesome.
Yeah. And he's long, and he has the strength to get into the lane. The reason I said it's tough to choose because also in this game, Najee Story grabbed a guard and chucked him 3 yards back into the running back. That's one of the favorite plays I've seen. Like if you're looking for something to capture how Purdue's offensive day went, there's a play where Purdue tries to run the ball. Story grabs the guard, throws him back into the running back, who goes flying into the backfield, and then U-line runs into the backfield and blows the guy up. It was just like, that's how our defense is operating right now.
What's awesome about that play, in my mind, is that Story is shedding his block to go after, I think it must be Malachi, who's going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, Malachi Singleton was going, it was like RPO. Yeah, no,
Malachi,
right. He was
sorry.
Like, he maintained a responsibility.
Yes. Yeah, he's like, get off me, guard, and then covered his responsibility and kept contained while Uline cleaned up the running back who had been tossed aside.
And Saka came back who clearly is working through some injury stuff. Still was in there, got himself a sack. Hubbard was as disruptive as always, and Fussell continues to be just, he's back. He's covering as great as ever. And also, like, again, shouts to Epstein, who again, Jake Epstein was throwing heat after this game. Every tweet he put up, I was like, dang, that's a good stat. And one was that I think that Josh Fussell and Fred Davis are the lone pair of teammates in the Big Ten who each have 6 passes defended this season. So, and we're the number 3 pass defense in the conference on the back of that right now. So again, like at some point you look and you're like, yeah, pretty much everyone in this defense is good. It's all good guys. And then again, number 11 scoring defense in the country. That's a huge part of it. They're just cooking, and they earned the heck out of this shutout.
I just wanted to highlight Caleb Komalafi, who looked spectacular at the start of this game and had really good overall stats. Went out in the third quarter with probably a shoulder injury.
We were really worried.
Stinger, yeah. I was quite worried as well. I mean, like, honestly, the performance of Deshaun Reeder helped you feel less worried. Just the depth that we have at running back is great. But Braun said this morning in his press conference that Como is fine and is back in practice already and will be ready to go for Nebraska, which is really, really great news.
Yeah, super exciting. And yeah, I mean, like the backs, Hyman, it's just so funny because Hyman and Komalafe are so different, and it's useful that they're so different in style when, for example, you have no idea which guy it is based on the uniforms that a team was wearing in this game, which we can get to in a second.
I made that mistake so many times when we were watching the highlights.
It was all just a blur out there. But they were both so good and so good in their way, so good in their distinctive ways. I mean, the opening drive of the game where we just come out and the guys are opening big holes and Komalafe is just steamrolling them. And then Hyman had a play where I think it was like for 6 or 7 yards. And afterwards I was like, he only got 6 or 7 on that play because he made like 3 guys miss. And then of course he broke open that 37-yarder. So, I mean, this is a good football team, man. Like, we were just hoping we would get to a place where we had some stuff figured out. Just to think back where we were at for the love of God, can we just get some answers? And maybe, just maybe, be 4-3, we're playing Nebraska. And it's like, nope, we've got a team where at every position there's a guy who's capable of doing something big at any time on both sides of the ball. And we're 5-2, and we're taking that to Nebraska.
One other thing we should mention is the honoring of the 95 Rose Bowl team. You mentioned that earlier. It was interesting. Like, I was very fascinated to see. I mean, Pat Fitzgerald was there, which is awesome. And it's great that he was there. It was a part of it. And, like, just kind of seeing him. And I was interested to see how much of a deal they were gonna make about him, or if they were even gonna mention him. I wanted to see what the crowd reaction was, if they were going to like go down the line and say everyone's name, which they have done in the past. They didn't do that. They talked about Gary Barnett, and that was it. They honestly, I loved the whole way that they did it. It was great. It was great that Fitz was back, but the 95 Rose Bowl team just stood on the strength of what they were as a team. This incredible, unbelievable team. The highlight package that they showed beforehand was really, really cool. And like, honestly, like, there was a little piece of it. I found myself like waxing a little poetic as I was thinking about it afterwards, because it's been 30 years, right? And it's amazing because, 25 years, it's been 25 years since Scuzz and I saw a Big Ten championship our junior year, and the time really flies. But I was struck by something thinking about our tailgate before the game. And Sam and I were lucky to be visited by a lot of great people, as we are every week. And for all of you who show up, thanks so much for coming, because it's so fun. But we had a couple great conversations with a Northwestern freshman who showed up with her whole family, which was so cool. Yeah. And then another family that showed up with a prospective high school senior currently in the process of applying to Northwestern, and then also got to meet another person from the Wild Side who's like a current junior. So I mean, a lot of for us, young people who are at Northwestern, who are targeting Northwestern, fans of the pod, fans of Northwestern sports, and it just had me thinking back to like the power and the specialness of these great Northwestern sports moments, and that you almost wish that everyone who came after, who wasn't there in the moment for all of these great moments, can just appreciate it, because it's like, as soon as you have one of those moments, every great moment that you experience, heck, the Penn State game last week, right? I feel the same during that game as I felt in the great games of our junior year, and someone like a Jay Sharman, like, he's feeling the same way during a Penn State game like that than he was feeling during a lot of the Rose Bowl run. And there's like a timeless quality of it. And it's like these great moments when you come back and you're like, oh, there's so much time that's passed since this moment. And yet everyone, like, it gives you this feeling in the moment that you just recreate. And everyone who's there is just like, oh man, like, I wish I'd give anything for all of like the students in the student body to be able to go back and feel what this Rose Bowl feeling felt like in the moment. But you know what? These students have like Purdue 1 and like Purdue 2 in basketball for that, and that they'll be paying it forward and being like, man, I wish you all could have been there to experience that. But I don't know. It's just something that was like, it had me in my feels, because I was like, it's a great moment, and it's like, it's been 30 years, but it's like timeless, and it gives you a feeling that, we all know that feeling, and then we chase it again and again for like the rest of our lives. Yeah. So, I mean, the way the season's gone so far, I mean, you talk about kind of the specialness of seasons past, and like, we have that Penn State game, and there are opportunities ahead of us to maybe, capture some of those feelings again. I mean, we're going into the back half of our schedule right now. We had, for the past month and a half, we've been looking at this weekend, right? This is the pivot point of the year. Coming out of Tulane, coming out of Oregon, we said, what? Talk to us now. Talk to us in the end of October. Let's see where we're at. And where we're at right now is having won 4 in a row. We're playing really good defensive football. The offense is finding its identity. And, Nebraska is coming off just an absolute walloping up in Minneapolis. 24-6. They just got curb stomped by the Gophers. And, it's an interesting situation,
Real quick before we dig in on Nebraska, there's just something kind of like statistically funny as we hit this pivot point toward the back half of our schedule. You go pull up Northwestern's schedule on ESPN right now, and you will notice that not only is Northwestern 5-2, but every opponent they play down the stretch, the next 5 opponents are also 5-2 at this moment. And so there's this kind of real fun. Like the kids love 6-7 right now, but 5-2 is what's swimming through my eyes. And
for life, I cannot understand 6-7, but I'm old, so
I give you a primer later offline.
I cannot get my kids to describe what it is. That's fine.
That's exactly it. You just nailed it.
Great.
I just have to throw in this random thing. I was out tending to fall leaf cleanup the other day, and was a bunch of the neighborhood boys were playing touch football. Flag football or whatever, like in the street /yard /whatever. And we're all using as their like hike cadence, Sigma, Sigma, Sigma. And I was like, oh man, here's Generation Alpha. We've all passed on.
Omaha becomes Sigma.
Yes. We're old. We get it. Now, enough about that. Let's talk about Nebraska.
Speaking of old.
Yeah, right?
Speaking of...
So... What's interesting is, and I'm thinking back to, Penn State goes across country to UCLA, and they lose in just kind of like completely gutting fashion in a way that is, has, as we've seen, just led to the firing of James Franklin. I mean, their season is now in the absolute tank. You're in a situation now, you've got, Nebraska coming off a beatdown. There's rumors swirling, and there's like the buzzers are circling in this whole will or will not Matt Rule be interested in going to Penn State. His non-answer in his press conference certainly did not do anything to put water on the fire. If anything, it just added gasoline. And so like, what's the mentality of this Nebraska team going into this weekend?
Fragile, incredibly fragile. And I think that's the thing is, on one hand, like this is a Nebraska team that has a win in hand against Cincinnati, against a very good Cincinnati team. They're a team that played Michigan really close. We all know Nebraska's got a bunch of talent. We all know that Raiola is a special quarterback and a special football player. They're capable of playing good run defense. You can look at the way they stoned Michigan State's ability to run the football 3 games ago. But the whole thing with Nebraska for years under Rule is they're getting closer and closer to turning the corner. We talked about this in the summer. Be like, they're like kind of there. They're right there. They could just turn the corner if X, Y, and Z. And this Rule thing is just poison on top of that. Like Nebraska, like is has to be faced with a situation that, like, if they win out and they go 10-2, he's gone. Like that's happening. Like he is Penn State's number 1 with a bullet candidate, and they're in this bizarre situation where like the more they lose, the farther he gets from that job theoretically. But it's a heck of a mind screw for this fragile football team to be dealing with. And you can't tell me that them going up to Minneapolis and just getting totally rolled is disconnected from that. And like Sam said, Rule just poured gasoline on it multiple times when he just like, even if he would just been like, I'm not talking about this, my focus is on Nebraska, et cetera, that would have been better than what he has done, which is like equivocate and talk about how much he loves Penn State with kind of no but attached to it at the end. And again, like there's all of that. And then there is this single with a bullet thing, which is that it's everything Scuzz locked in on at the start of the season, which is just like Nebraska has one running back and does not have a general ability to run the football. And when you combine that with the fact that their very special quarterback also has a real propensity to get sacked, they have real problems. And those problems all appear to be coming to a head and converging at the exact moment we are going to play them.
It's so fun to talk about the coach stuff and the rule thing and the fragile psyche and the falling apart and oh my God, what if this, what if that? But I much like I was before Penn State, none of that matters to me, and none of that matters to this game. We can straight up beat this team.
Yeah,
sure.
Full stop. Full stop. Against Minnesota, their offense was anemic. They gave up 9 sacks.
9 sacks.
A record for the Gophers, a team that doesn't get a lot of sacks. Northwestern's defensive line, their defensive front seven, can absolutely eat. And here's the thing. Nebraska can't run the football, and this has been true all year. The only team they've really done it against is Maryland.
Right.
They really struggle to run the football. The offensive line is not good. This is year 3 of saying, oh, this is the year that Rule will fix the O-line, and he hasn't.
Right.
Now, they had an O-lineman get tossed out of the game for targeting, I think in the first half against Minnesota. He missed the second half. He should be back. So maybe they'll be a little bit better against us. But regardless, they haven't faced a front seven as good as ours yet. And the way Minnesota was able to operate in this game, by the way, this game was 6-7 at halftime. This was not Minnesota up by 30 or 20 and Nebraska having to abandon the run and switch to the pass early on. But for the entire second half, Minnesota didn't even have to pretend to defend the run. They could just pin their ears back and go after Raiola. And if you don't think that is a absolute boon and incredible place for Northwestern to be entering into this game, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
couple that with the fact that Minnesota ran for 186 yards on Nebraska. This is a team that doesn't get a lot of sacks. They're not particularly big or threatening or imposing on defense. They gave up 31 points to Maryland. They gave up 27 points to Michigan State. Northwestern can do to Nebraska exactly what they did to Purdue. And I'll give you one other stat that tells me why I know that. Purdue should have beaten Minnesota in Minnesota and didn't. They absolutely statistically outplayed Minnesota, but screwed up late and gave that game up. And then Minnesota turned around the following week and absolutely hammered Nebraska. I don't psyche, coaching, all that shit. I don't care one wick because Northwestern should walk into Nebraska and win this game straight up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, there's this bizarre thing where, Scuzz talked in the offseason being like, maybe their line's better. They don't have any running backs. And you look at this bizarre thing that's going on with Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, Emmett Johnson's good.
I mean, he's like a pretty good running back. Northwestern's played Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, and Devin Mockabee in the past 2 weeks. Emmett Johnson at best.
Did you guys see what Katron Allen did?
Yeah,
the week after playing us.
You're right. I mean, and it's they're he certainly slots in with that, but there's this bizarre stat where in 3 of their last 4 games, he had more rush yards than the team as a whole had because Nebraska has no other running backs other than him. They have no depth at that position whatsoever, something Scuzz clearly highlighted in the offseason. And the line gives him no help. So in 3 of their past 4 games, he's rushed for well under 100 yards. And that same line is also helping Raiola take loads of sacks. So the team, other than Emmett Johnson, in 3 of the past 4 games, put up massive negative rush yards. And he ended up with significantly more rush yards than the team had. But again, that leads to a net rushing yard for Nebraska of like 60, 40, and 30 something yards in 3 of their past 4 games. The Maryland game is like the massive outlier to really their entire season. They also commit penalties. Raiola is not immune to turning the ball over. He's a special quarterback. But again, it's like, I looked at the line of this game, like, didn't it open at like Nebraska by 9.5 or something?
It's down to 7.
It's
as
down.
We record this on Monday.
And it's dropping, but it's like, on the basis of what? You think like going into Lincoln is worse than going into Happy Valley? Given what this Nebraska team is coming off the game that they just played, I mean, it's not like any of this rule stuff's gotten better.
And
I know,
and it's laundry.
Right.
It's all it is.
Right. And I know, like, to Scuz's point, like, on the top of all of that, right, like, I think we just made control of the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And we've talked about this Tony White is gone, but this 3-3-5, has been a really good run defense. But I mean, it's almost like, again, it's why it's hard for me to avoid the specter of all this stuff. Was like Nebraska let him go. Now they're going to try to hold on to Rule. And it's like they haven't been great. Minnesota sure tore a hole in this 3-3-5 that was so good against the run last year. And again, that is 1 week after, and this is where all these things are rolled together, where Purdue basically stoned Minnesota on the ground, and then Minnesota turned right around and ran all over Nebraska. Meanwhile, like, we ran all over Purdue. I mean, how many signs do you want that we're capable of controlling the football, running the ball in this game? Look at these time of possession numbers that we're putting up right now. You think we're not going to be able to do that against Nebraska? Like, why wouldn't we be able to do that against Nebraska? I guess my worry, right, is Raiola. He's a great quarterback. Like, he's capable of being a phenomenal football player. Like, he's big time. He was a big time recruit. He's clearly their best player. He's clearly their bellwether. And he can carve you up. But it's like, look at, like, we already dealt with Nico Amaliava. Like, it's not like that guy is as incendiary as anyone in the country is right now. Now, granted, Raiola's throwing the ball is a better pure passer. And this maybe will be our biggest pure passing test of the season, but not if fatality's humming, not if their offensive line protects the way that they protected against Minnesota. I mean, I'm like, it's hard not to be positive. Nebraska's coming off of an absolute shit show in Minneapolis. And meanwhile, like, Northwestern is humming right now, and then you look and you're like, man, well, I'd sure be nervous if the line wasn't doing us any favors. The line's just nothing but disrespect. It's just nothing but more fuel for this football team. Like, there's nothing but opportunity here.
It's also kind of a good. I think it's a good thing for us. I know after the game on Saturday, you and I were talking in the parking lot with all sorts of people, and we were saying, like, this should be a night. Like, we should be getting the NBC the night game on this. This should be at least a 2:30, but should be a night game. And when it came out that we got that 11 o'clock kick. You know what? Fine. You want to disrespect us? Fine. Great. Let's go. Now you've got, instead of having the Nebraska crowd, like, nicely lubricated for a night game, it's an 11 o'clock kick. Which,
we get the Midwest nice 11 a.m. kickoff. Yep.
The Midwest nice 11 a.m. kickoff. And, like, I'm not saying that that's going to be the game changer. That's not going to be the thing that changes things. But, like, the crowd may not be as revved up as they would be if they had been drinking all day, or, like, full on pregame all day long. You come into a hostile environment such as Nebraska is.
Even outside the alcohol, just like night games have a juice and an excitement.
It's true.
And players feed off of that atmosphere, and it will not be there.
Well, plus too, it's like we talked about this ad nauseum pre the Penn State game. This is not a Nebraska fan base that's full of piss and vinegar right now. It's a Nebraska fan base that's wondering, what's going to happen here.
I don't think they're as fragile as the Penn State fans are, but there's definitely something there.
Right. There is. And again, meanwhile, Northwestern Nation, this Northwestern football team is coming in like a missile. Like they are loaded for bear. Northwestern is like, these guys are locked in right now. You think the running game, you think Como and Hyman and the offensive line and the defensive line and this defense, like those guys are going in, everything Scuzz said, they're going in there to dominate. Yeah. Like it's like, and Sam, to your point about like laundry, I mean, just put white and black jerseys on both these teams and be like, which team's dominating the line of scrimmage? It's Northwestern, obviously. So again, like we're feeling really good. I'll take this as the first opportunity to let everyone know. Miller's Ale House in Lombard, on Butterfield Road in Lombard. If you can get out there, if you live in the suburbs, if you want to come watch, we're going to be there. We are going to be there with some of our friends. And as many of you who can come out and join us, and let's watch this football game. Hopefully root on this team together. Any of you who are in the suburbs and aren't able to get to Lincoln and are looking for a place to watch it, make it that spot. If you're west suburbs, southwest suburbs, like northwest suburbs, like it's an easy place to get to. There's just about nowhere you can't get to it in a half hour. So join us there. I'll mention it at the end, but Miller's Ale House in Lombard, come out and join us.
Anything else to mention about this game this weekend before we kind of pivot to the rest of the conference?
This game's all gravy. So like we're 5-2. We're far better than anybody thought we could be.
Yes.
We're huge underdogs in this game. Northwestern Nebraska has been the average person can't, maybe even the average Nebraska fan can't describe how close this series has been since Nebraska joined the Big Ten.
Yeah.
We've got a great chance in this game and very little in the way of pressure on us, because if it doesn't go our way, we've still got Minnesota and Illinois. We've got a, kind of one-dimensional Michigan team and a, I don't know, I guess we'll say UCLA or USC team that doesn't play defense. But like, I don't know. I don't even know that Braun's team is hyper focused on getting to a bowl as much as they are just they're kind of entering like Murderbot territory. It's not anything on the order of Indiana right now. But when you hear him talk about like, our goals are get a Northwestern degree, win a Big Ten championship. I forget the third one.
Make the CFP
playoff.
Make the playoff. Like, they are quite literally taking it one day at a time. And to see the mentality that they were able to maintain off of that Penn State win, and to see the way they dominated against Purdue, and now, the specter of going to Nebraska, of seeing those 70,000+ fans, like, this team is feeding on that opportunity.
Right. Mm-hmm. This is not a team that's like, oh man, if we win, we make a bowl, or if we win, we could actually be ranked.
Well,
this is a team that's
Braun came right out and said, the exact same thing as he said in the bowels of Beaver Stadiums. Where is making a bowl game on our goals?
On that
list.
It's
not there.
I just feel like this team's mentality, and this is where, that line's dropping, and I don't be surprised if it drops more. I'm just like, this team isn't like, boy, I really hope we can do blank. This team is like, you're next. We just beat 4 teams, and now we're coming for you, Nebraska. And it's sick. Sign me up. Let's go.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And, my own personal anti-Nebraska.
How do you feel about Nebraska?
I have been remarkably chill about that.
Yes, you have. I encourage you to stay remarkably chill.
I will. My heart rate has just come back to normal after the Broncos-Giants game yesterday, so I don't know if I can rev myself up as much.
As we joked on Twitter, Sammy, look, like, fate wasn't about to give you that snoozer of a pulse Purdue game and then just let you walk with your Broncos. Like, you were going to have to pay on the back end.
Fine. I'll take win on Saturday, win on Sunday. Love it.
There you go.
If you or a loved one is seriously injured by someone else's negligence, hire Kent Simpson of the Simpson Law Group. After over a decade prosecuting murder cases in Chicago, Simpson opened his own firm focused on wrongful death and personal injury cases. He specializes in car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and other transportation accidents, as well as construction accidents, medical negligence, slip and falls, product liability, and more. Millions recovered for clients. No fee unless he wins. The Simpson Law Group. Compassion, empathy, and vigorous advocacy. Go to simpsonlawgroup.com or call 312-332-2107 for a free consultation, and go Cats. So let's turn our attention to the rest of the conference this past week. I think starting with Wisconsin, shut out 2 games in a row. Ohio State beats them 34-0, and yet Luke Fickell is still employed.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because they play Oregon next week. The AD is saying, we believe in Luke, and we're gonna put more resources into the program. Clearly, they don't have enough resources to retain players, etc.
Well, if they don't have enough resources to retain players, they probably don't have enough resources to fire him and pay his buyout.
Well, I think it's more about like what you're allocating, but that's a false narrative. Wisconsin has not lost a ton of players through the portal. They made extreme schematic changes to their identity and how they went about their shit, and it has all backfired and blown up in their face in the most frustrating way.
They broke their own football team, and now they quite literally can't score points.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think what is likely to happen, I mean, maybe he's got this grand plan, and he's got, he's a former offensive lineman on the team. Maybe he's got a lot of discipline around, like, no, this is what we're going to do, and I feel good about this, yada, yada, yada. But, like, if I'm a betting man, like, they're going to get plastered by Oregon next weekend, and then with a bye, they're going to make a change.
Oh, do they have a bye after the Oregon game?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, that is certainly on the table there. What about Ohio State? I mean, they're sitting here at number 1. They look good, but like I don't feel like I'm hearing much about them. They're just that good.
The defense is unreal, and we're just waiting for them to play Indiana now.
Right. I mean,
that's
the
Big Ten
thing.
championship.
Right. They're clearly both unbelievable. That's 2 god teams, your number 1 and number 2 teams, and one is the team everyone expected to be there, and one is the brand new kid in town. But they're both they're just mopping the floor with everybody. They're so good. And Sayan is clearly, rounding into form a little bit, although again, like 393 against Wisconsin. Wisconsin's not good at anything. So it's hard to to read off of that. But yeah, I mean, they deserve to be number 1, that's for sure.
I mean, they're killing everybody. Their defense is so good. They have Penn State in 2 weeks, which like doesn't even hit the radar right now as a big game.
Doesn't.
I said we're all waiting for them to play Indiana. I guess they do have a pesky game at Michigan that they haven't won in 4 years. So
right.
We'll see how that goes first.
Yeah.
You got Indiana also just, in God mode, taking down Michigan State 38-13.
Yeah. Just Michigan State is the bloom is quickly coming off the Jonathan Smith roads, I would say, in the eyes of Michigan State fans,
which is just baffling to me. I don't understand. Like,
yeah, I mean it's happened quick. It's just like they seem so plucky, and now they're just getting hammered by everybody. I mean, hey, shocking Michigan would go a long way towards righting the wrong, but Michigan State's down the well right now.
But they're looking at, we brought this guy over, and he brought half of his team and all of his coaches from Oregon State, and
right.
Where are we in year 2? Well, Kurt Cignetti's ranked number 2 in the country,
right?
And I know,
exactly. The Cignetti
obviously,
effect.
It's the Cignetti effect. I mean, right. I think you could very simply boil it down to he's not Kirk Cignetti,
right?
So I feel like everyone who's on a second year coach might be out in that regard, right?
He deserves more time, and he'll get more time. It's just I don't think they're happy right now.
Who is happy is Oregon.
I'll say this: the way Oregon is absolutely hammering people right now, a lot of people are being like, who played Oregon pretty well? Northwestern, especially in the second half of that football game. A lot of people are saying, we're hearing that from other people. Oregon's that 35-14 ain't looking too bad at all. The way Oregon's putting it on these teams.
Yeah, I mean they go cross country to Rutgers 56-10.
Yep.
If Ohio State slips up, or if Indiana slips up, Oregon is just sitting there ready to pounce on that Big Ten championship opportunity. Now,
Yep.
I guess Indiana would have to slip up twice, given they have the head-to-head. But yeah, they look quite exceptional. Although they haven't really had a tough game since that Indiana loss.
Well, they haven't had any games since the Indiana loss. So.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. was that really only
2 weeks ago?
2 weekends ago? Jeez, man.
Yeah, right?
Whew.
Time.
Life comes at you fast.
Sure does. Much like it did for USC as they went out to Notre Dame.
Yeah. There's
34-24 Irish.
I mean, this game was drunk.
Yeah, I don't I wasn't too plugged into it. I mean,
Oh man. So just allow me to
Please. Floor is yours.
So in the second half of this game, Notre Dame opens the second half with a touchdown. SC responds with a field goal and then forces a 3-and-out. And then USC uncorks a 60-yard bomb to bring the game within 3, 24-27. I'm sorry, 24 to take the lead, 24-21. Notre Dame returns the kickoff for a touchdown to make it 24-27. Then SC throws a pick. Notre Dame misses a field goal. SC fumbles the ball. It is now raining cats and dogs. Like the wheels came off of this game in the third quarter into the fourth quarter, and it was just a cluster. There was a in the pouring rain, a flip it to my wide receiver to throw a deep pass choice that was made by one of these two coaches. I think it was USC. I'm forgetting now, but like the announcers were dumbfounded. Maybe that was Mekhi Lemon on First and 10. I don't know. It was like this game was totally nuts, and Notre Dame did not play particularly well. Their offense was rough. Their quarterback was rough, but they came away with a big win because they were less drunk than their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, USC is so much of what we said. Like, it's not a great defensive football team, but I mean, Maeva
he's awesome.
Unreal. He's as talented of a player as there is in the country. They throw the ball better than anybody. Yeah. And that's
he still makes a tremendous amount of mistakes. And case in point is the last pick of the game. He gets flushed from the pocket and tries to force a ball downfield, like 30 yards downfield, that is easily picked off.
Right.
And like it's the sort of thing that like I think when you watch that stuff, if you're not someone that watches a ton of other games, like it can make some of the things that Preston Stone does, like you can like be a little bit more understandable. This is what college quarterbacks do this.
Right.
They get stars in their eyes and they're like, oh, I have a guy. And they didn't account for the weak side safety, or they didn't account for a corner dropping, or they just don't get enough on it because their body's not in the right position. And like, this is a normal thing that happens all the time in college football. And Maeva makes a lot of mistakes like that.
Yeah. It's there, and at the same time, I mean, it's like the reality is it's an imperfect football team with a suspect defense and the most explosive passing game in the country. Like they're capable of absolutely shredding anyone throwing the football. That's where their bread is buttered. It's like they're either not going to be ranked or going to be hovering right around the 25 spot because they're an imperfect football team that, aside from their incendiary ability to throw the ball, has a lot of problems. But I mean, again, they are where they are for good and for bad because they do one thing ungodly well, and we're going to see it in a couple of weeks, and we're going to find a way to deal with it.
Michigan takes down Washington 24-7. Washington did not get on the same like chill, laid back flight that Oregon did as they went to the Eastern time zone.
This is the thing about Michigan above all is they're capable of reminding you that their run defense and overall defense is capable of just absolutely owning a football game. Like, and usually that's what happens. I mean, Washington just couldn't run the football here, and they could barely throw it. And again, it's like Michigan's offense has not been pretty at times, and that's been true for kind of a couple of years now. Their defense and their defense's ability to rise to this level is where they make their hay.
Iowa 25, Penn State 24.
This
one is pretty interesting.
Yeah. This one is, you talk about drunk scuzz. I think of the narrative coming out of this game is that Mark Gronowski, quote unquote, had a big rushing day and led Iowa to a win in this game. But for a single play, Mark Gronowski had a horrific football game in this football game. He basically had no pass yards or no rush yards heading into a 67-yard play where 3 different Penn State guys could have tackled him, and that's very much where Penn State is as a football team right now.
Yeah, in addition to the weird Mark Gronowski stuff, Katron Allen ran for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. He carried the ball 28 times. Nicholas Singleton only 6, and that feels like a pretty big departure from the mix of carries that Northwestern saw. And I mean, obviously, some of that is that Aller is injured now for the season now, not playing. But also, like, Katron Allen didn't run for 150 yards and two TDs against us. And this is, the Iowa defense was just still quite good against the run. And it just kind of puts in perspective how awesome Northwestern is performing. It's also like, this is one of those, like, just somehow Iowa wins this game despite that performance.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Here we go again. Iowa gets to 8 and 9. This is exactly how they do it.
Yeah.
And then finally in the Big Ten, Maryland. Poor Maryland. I mean, they find another way to lose lead late in the fourth quarter. And this was just rough too, because they had the lead. They're up 10-7 in the third. UCLA scores twice in the fourth. 10 points in the fourth to take it 17-10 lead. Malik Washington throws an 8-yard touchdown pass with 40 seconds left on the clock. But that was a little bit too much time. Much like the Broncos and the Giants yesterday, UCLA drives down, 23-yard field goal to win it at the gun.
Well, hold on. The play before that, they get a 35-yard run with 18 seconds left. Like, what was Maryland doing on that play?
Yeah,
unclear.
That's brutal. I mean, like UCLA was at the 40, and they ran the ball 35 yards to the 5. And of course, breaks can happen, this and the other thing, but like, yeah, you're seeing like your moniker like found another way to lose. This is a uniquely brutal way to lose a game. This Maryland run is reminding me of like 2013 Northwestern.
What's insane too is there was all this talk 4 games into the season about like, boy, Loxley was almost fired and the way the last season went, and then they've turned it around and they've got this exciting young quarterback and a couple exciting young defensive ends. They're in real danger of repeating the exact same thing that happened last season. Their next 4 are Indiana at Rutgers, Illinois at Illinois, and then Michigan. They could easily lose all 4 of those football games. And then they'd be not bowling for another season in a row. Like, it's crazy because this is probably going to spiral on them now.
And like UCLA now.
Yeah, on the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
I mean, break up the Bruins, because all of a sudden that win that we have over them looking better and better.
Called Jerry Neuheisel the Wonderkind.
Seriously.
Now UCLA is about to go Indiana, Nebraska, Ohio State, Washington, USC.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
but hey, I mean, If you told me let's leave Nebraska in a state where they're very vulnerable on the road against UCLA a week later, like, I want to see that.
Yeah.
Let's see UCLA pull this out.
For sure. So this is so Nico's got this is his third season. So he's got at least one more if he wants to stay at UCLA. They could, I'm just thinking like if like the next 5 weeks could go rough for them, but there'd still be a lot of excitement for this team and what they might be able to do next year. Assuming Jerry Neuheisel sticks around.
I was going to say for the Nico Jerry Neuheisel bromance to continue to blossom. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned the Notre Dame USC game was drunk. There were some other real drunk games around the country. Take it back to Friday night. Louisville 24, Miami 21. Let's not forget how good of a coach Jeff Brom is.
Jeff Brom does it again.
God.
Yeah.
I know.
I think this is like the fourth time he's beat number 2.
Right. It's crazy. Like if either Florida or Penn State was like, you know what, Jeff Brom, everyone would be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Sure. Like good hire. I mean, he just is always there, just always kicking ass. What a coach.
Yeah. Miller Moss was crying at the end of this game. He was really emotional, and it just kind of highlights to me just what's possible with the way the sport has evolved. I know a lot of people don't like the transfer portal, this, that, and the thing, but like this is a dude that lost his job, was probably not going to get it back this year at USC. Got benched kind of unceremoniously last year because I don't know. I don't really feel like it was Miller Moss that was screwing up the USC offense last season.
No.
Shifts gears, comes to Louisville and gets the biggest win of his career on a Friday night on the road. That's a great story, man. I love it. I love it. And I think we've always had a lot of kind of respect for Jeff Brom. He was an exceptional coach at Purdue, a guy that we feared Northwestern having to go up against, and has notched some really big wins in his career, and left a Big Ten paycheck and Purdue. Not that he's not working for free.
He's getting
at his alma mater
to go back to his alma mater. Yeah,
Louisville ain't getting $100 million a year from the Big Ten Network. We'll just put it that way. But went back to his alma mater to try to fix them and save them, and he's got them 5-1 right now, ranked and I assume ranked, and doing some great things in the ACC. So kudos to Jeff Brom.
The Vandy train keeps going.
I was surprised by this.
31-24.
I thought this was the game where they turned into a pumpkin. They had to play Alabama on the road, and they got smoked pretty good. And I guess we all have to just come to grips with the fact this LSU team is not that incredible.
Yeah. One positive first of all, the Diego for Heisman. I mean, he's making the Heisman pose like in the end zone in these games. Like that guy's energy is just. Yeah. I mean,
he's something,
he just may get himself an invite. He's not. I don't think he's winning the Heisman, but he just may give himself an invite because he's certainly one of the guys everyone's going to remember for the season. Also,
I think it's really important just to call out what's really impressive about him. So, his yardage stats are not super flashy. He's only got like 1,600 yards passing through however many 7 games. He does run the ball, with some frequency, but he's got 15 TDs and only 4 picks. And for a guy, I feel like a lot of times the guy making the Heisman move, the guy with the massive personality,
the cocky gunslinger.
Yes, the gunslinger part. It's not him. It's not who he is, and it's pretty cool.
He doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's more cold as ice than gunslinger. He just is cosplaying as a gunslinger.
Last piece of note for this game: Josh Thompson was a game day captain for LSU in this game. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Another big high-ranked team going down. Arizona State knocks off Texas Tech.
Tech lost I think their sack leader, their massive or maybe their massive defensive tackle is so key to their run stopping. And then they've had they're kind of going back and forth between quarterbacks. I think their primary quarterback is hurt, but this game was all about Sam Levitt, who came in and won it at the end. Clearly, not feeling 100% himself. So kudos to Arizona State. They're getting it done without Cam Skedabu.
Yeah. A&M struggled with Arkansas. I mean, only a 3-point win.
But 87 points were scored in this game.
Yeah.
Yes.
With
Yes.
6-0 A&M faces 2-4 Arkansas, and 87 points were scored. And it was a 3-point margin. I don't think that was what folks had on their bingo card.
No, not at all. Georgia takes down Ole Miss.
Yeah,
43-35.
This high score was more anticipated.
But the SEC teams are just bruising each other right now, right? I mean, classic, like, they're, all the SEC fans, ain't no one saying that any SEC team is in the greatest team in the country conversation right now. They're all just delivering haymakers while everyone's like, Ohio State and Indiana are the best two teams. But I mean, it's not to say Ole Miss is an awesome football team. And has amongst their other, they took a loss in this one, but they got that Tulane win on their resume, which is looking better every week.
Alabama is definitely putting the specter of that Florida State loss in their rearview mirror as they take down Tennessee 37-20.
Yeah, didn't Florida State lose?
I was gonna say, unfortunately, that's going to continue to be an albatross for them.
Yeah. Florida State went out to Stanford and lost. So
when you were talking about SEC haymakers, I couldn't think about the Texas Longhorns swinging and missing over and over and over again, barely hanging on to beat Kentucky in OT.
Yeah.
All this talk about
overtime against
all
Kentucky.
this talk about Arch Manning, like Texas's defense is single-handedly winning them every football game that they win.
Arch has got some nice touch when he throws the ball, but he has no pocket presence, and his accuracy gets real squirrely when he's under any sort of duress and doesn't have kind of like a pristine pocket to work from.
Georgia Tech is having the quietest undefeated season I've ever seen. They take down Duke 27-18. Like, they're undefeated? Really? I mean, they are, but like, what?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it is. It's just quiet. I mean, you're right. I mean, I guess they must have some big tests coming down the pike.
I mean,
it's funny
Georgia,
too.
But
I mean, yeah, they've got Syracuse in Atlanta. Then they're at NC State, at BC, home for Pitt, and then the Georgia game.
Yeah, interesting. It's funny too. Like Duke is very much squandering this Darian Mensah season.
Mensa's having
they paid a lot of money for it. They paid a lot of money for him. He's earning every penny of it, but they're not converting it into wins.
Should we talk about some of the coaching changes? I mean, Billy Napier out at Florida.
Yep.
Yeah.
Been waiting a couple years for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Napier out. Who else was out?
Jay Norvell, not the Norvell I think a lot of people thought would be let go. But Jay Norvell's out at Colorado State. Fickle got the vote of confidence, like we mentioned earlier. Mike Norvell got. They will reevaluate things at the end of the year, i.e., we're not paying you all of the money. We'll let you coach through the end of the year, and then just eat a little bit less in buyout.
Right.
Is how I read that.
Dabo's out there pumping up his quote unquote credibility because he's worried he's going to get tossed out on his ear. I'm still waiting for him to retire now that we're paying players. He said it, not me.
That is true. It is true. Shall we look ahead to this upcoming?
They lost to SMU, by the way, at home.
Yeah,
they're now 3 and
they sure did.
They're 3-4, 2-3 in conference. You love to see it.
Absolutely. Let's now turn our attention ahead to this weekend's games. In the Big Ten, obviously, 11 o'clock kick for us on FS1. As time of recording, Nebraska is still a 7-point favorite. Like we said, that has come down from 9.5. It'll be interesting to see where that lands. Also at 11 a.m., you've got Rutgers at Purdue, 11 a.m. on Big Ten Network. Rutgers, the 2.5-point road favorite.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Ryan Brown available for this game? That'll be an interesting thing to clock.
No idea. Yeah. Also at 11 a.m. on Fox, big noon Saturday, UCLA at Indiana. Indiana, 24.5-point favorite.
It was a good run. It was a good run,
Yeah,
UCLA.
yeah. If this was at UCLA, I would like look at it for a minute and think like, oh, could they maybe win this game? Could they maybe do something crazy twice? But no. UCLA is a murder bot, and they're at home, and they're gonna steamroll.
Indiana's the murder bot.
Sorry, Indiana's the murder bot, and they're at home, and they're gonna steamroll. Yeah.
You got Illinois flying out to the Pacific Northwest to take on Washington. The Huskies, a 4.5-point home favorite. That game's at 2:30 on Big Ten Network.
The most Jekyll Hyde team since the Pac-10 Big Ten merger, as I'm going to start referring to it to, in that like they just look like a shell of themselves when they leave the West Coast, and then they go back home and do crazy things. So who knows? This game's a total toss-up, in my opinion.
Also at 2:30, you got Minnesota at Iowa. This game's on CBS, and Iowa an 8.5-point home favorite.
That's a wild line. I mean, I guess it's props to what Iowa's doing. I mean, a little disrespectful for Minnesota coming off of what they did to Nebraska, but it does feel like one of those situations where Darius Taylor can't run the ball against Iowa, and then Minnesota just kind of implodes. But I don't know. Low scoring, I would guess.
Gronowski is not good at throwing the ball, but one thing that he does do is get it out fast. Minnesota ain't going to get anywhere close to 9 sacks against Iowa, and without that, like, yes, they can run the ball, but I think they're going to struggle offensively in this game. And it, like, Iowa has been PJ Fleck's like white whale. I think he's beaten them once since getting to Minnesota, but despite being the better team on many occasions, and I don't know that I could argue with a straight face that they're the better team this year. We'll see.
You mentioned you think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Vegas does too. The over/under 38.5.
Yeah.
And Iowa's an 8.5-point favorite on that, so that tells you something. 6 p.m. FS1. You've got Wisconsin at Oregon. Oregon is a 33.5-point favorite. The over/under is 44.5.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah. Like Vegas thinks Oregon's only going to score 33 or 34 points in this game. Wisconsin ain't scoring any points in this game.
They sure aren't.
No, this game is going to be just as much of a beatdown as the last two have been, and I would be stunned if there are not repercussions. It'd be really hard to imagine. If it was year 2, if it was year 1, maybe Fickle keeps his job, but I just cannot fathom this happening without repercussions. Three games in a row where you get absolutely blown out as the Wisconsin Badgers.
If they don't score, which is a real possibility, there's no way. I mean, you can't go 3 games.
The last time they got shut out twice was like 1977.
Right.
And for those who don't know, Wisconsin had their own dark period. Like they've been like
pre Barry Alvarez, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And this whew, it hasn't been like this in a long time there.
And then finally, you got Michigan, a 14-point road favorite at Michigan State. That game's on 6:30 on NBC.
This is a stupid game.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. But again, it's like 14.5. Who knows? Michigan State gets up for games like this. You know, I mean, like, should they have any chance in this game? Hell no. But you know, this is this rivalry.
Few games to mention. Not a whole lot of top matchups, but there's a few that I am interested in. Friday, Cal's 5-2. They're going out to Virginia Tech. Potentially James Franklin's next coaching spot. Maybe
it's a real possibility. Yeah.
You know, there are some top matchups. You got Ole Miss at Oklahoma. That could be a lot of fun.
I just feel like Oklahoma's a paper tiger until somebody shows me John Mateer can throw the ball like he was the first 3 weeks of the year.
Yeah.
We'll see how much more healthy he looks. Ole Miss is good.
Yep.
6-1 Virginia goes out to Chapel Hill.
Oh boy!
Release the Hulu tapes. Release the tapes. America wants to see them.
So true. So true.
We were having an interesting back and forth with our buddies at Winning Cures Everything earlier today, and Chris made the point, like he was talking about these schools that get stars in their eyes and make these insane hires where it's like you bring in the quote unquote home run hire coach and pay him $1 gajillion, and like there was somebody at North Carolina with a rational plan to hire a reasonable college football coach to take this position and got overruled by, I don't know which administrators or boosters or whomever, but man, they are digging a deep, deep hole for themselves for the vibes.
Game day going to Nashville, Missouri at Vanderbilt.
This is fun.
Great.
This
game.
is a lot of fun.
Great game.
It's a 2:30 game, so go out to Miller's Ale House, watch the Cats beat Nebraska, and then stick around for Mizzou Vandy.
Yeah,
There you go.
If you're if you're not particularly inclined, to follow these teams, and you harbor some additional, whatever for some juice for Penn State, if you will. Former Penn State quarterback Bo Perbula is the quarterback at Missouri and is having just an absolutely incredible season there. It's his second incredible season there, I might add, because I think he was pretty good there last year too. And it's just, he'd be the starting QB at Penn State and in a very different world had he not transferred away. So it's just interesting fodder for this game.
Bo Perbula, last seen faking a QB dive in Evanston to run up the score in the Penn State Northwestern
was that
game.
Perbula?
How'd that work out, James?
Wait,
How'd that work out?
That was him?
I thought that was Alec.
Yep.
Wow.
Nope. It was Bo.
Go Vandy.
Yep.
Yeah, go Vandy. A&M at LSU.
I guess
bruised LSU got a chance to get back on the right track here.
I guess their loss at Vandy could be considered a little bit of a letdown, given they've got number 3 in A&M coming to Tiger Stadium. But man, these two teams look like these two teams are like on different planets right now. I guess that means this is probably going to be a knockdown drag out, isn't it?
Well, that's what I was going to say. The line's only A&M by 2.5. It's
Yeah.
like the SEC. The way the SEC's going, I would not be surprised in any way if LSU wins this.
I mean, what is it? Night game in Death Valley.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a tough place to play, especially at night. Yeah, I mean, no one's going to be paying any attention to it, but it'll be interesting to see Colorado State, Wyoming. Like I say, Colorado State fired their coach for reasons, I guess. I mean, they're 2-5. I don't know. The middle of the year is, I don't know that there's a big, huge push in Fort Collins, Colorado, to be, moving on from Jay Norvell, but here we are.
Colorado State. James Franklin written all over him. Go get him.
Could you imagine James Franklin and Deion Sanders coaching in the same state?
Amazing.
I mean Colorado's already got Big 12 After Dark going as they go out to Utah. That's 9:15 on ESPN. Colorado's getting all sorts of primetime slots, and you put Franklin.
Is that really Is that really prime time? I don't think that's prime time.
Yeah, it's your After Dark.
I'll tell you what's in prime time on ESPN. This is like Stanford visits Miami. Is there any chance that Miami is? I mean, I know I went on a diatribe about how I'm not thinking about any mental fracturing at Nebraska and wasn't at Penn State because we could beat them straight up. And I don't know if Stanford can beat Miami straight up, but Miami might be mentally fractured after that loss to Louisville. Could Stanford make it 2 in a row?
No, I think Stanford's going to get massacred.
I would agree.
I think so too.
I would agree.
They did.
Any other games you guys are looking at?
Beat Florida State though, 20-13 last week.
True.
Everyone's beating Florida State,
Yeah.
and yet there's. I guess they were trying to decide if they could, find $100 million to fire Mike Norvell and his staff.
Yeah.
Sounds like maybe they can't right now. So, we'll revisit that at the end of the year. Before we go, John, will you take us to Field Hockey Corner? Cats suffered their first loss of the year, but come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, we recorded early last week in the wake of the Penn State game, so that Princeton game hadn't taken place, and tough loss. They went down, and Princeton finally the Cats were unable to reel a team back in, but man, did they climb back on the horse. They went out on the road, went to Piscataway, played number 15 Rutgers, just put it on them, 5-0. Ashley Sessa hat trick, and then went to Maryland, played number 10 Maryland, Maddie Zimmer coming through with a major goal, and then Maya Shivonovich with the go ahead big time, and then Juliana Bone continued to just be excellent. Gave up one goal all weekend. This just incendiary freshman season for her in goal continues, and just the way that in the post-Skubij era we have just reloaded at that position continues to just be incredible. But this team stayed number one even on the back of that Princeton loss, and just solidified their situation. This remains the number one team in the country.
Yeah, other top teams lost as well. So.
Yeah, I think Harvard is the kind of the lone top 5 undefeated team that there was some speculation might jump into the number one slot, but obviously Northwestern has solidified their place there. So 2 home games remain against Michigan this Friday, and then Ohio State on Sunday. And we're going to do what we did last year. We're going to have a little bit of a drawing for some men's basketball tickets. If you send us a photo of yourself at this Michigan or Ohio State game, just get the field hockey scoreboard in the background or the team or whatever. Get it to us on social media or via email, westlappirates@gmail.com. We will pick of all the folks that submit. We will pick a winner, and you'll get your pick of a couple tickets to one of the Northwestern men's basketball home games in the non-conference. So. Go support this field hockey team. They're number one in the nation. They're defending national champs. They have 2 last games at home and a chance to enter the postseason as the top team again. And go out, show your purple pride, and then put your name in our pool for some hoops tickets.
Yeah. And you mentioned basketball. Men's and women's basketball is coming up real soon. We'll be. As we get our bye week coming up here for football, we'll be turning our attention to basketball here in just a little bit. So for all of you, waiting for us to dive deep on this incredible incoming freshman class, just wait just a little bit longer. We will get there very, very soon as Chris Collins and his staff lead these kids. Nick Martinelli back for another year. This could be a really good team this year. I'm very, very excited.
I think the opening game is exactly 2 weeks from tonight.
Oh, wow. Is it really?
November 3rd, Monday.
November. Awesome. Yeah. So we're getting there. We're right there. So we'll be doing our basketball preview here not before too long. So any final thoughts before we go?
Get out to Miller's Ale House, Lombard, Butterfield Road. There's going to be a group of us here, but let's make that group as big as possible. Like we would love to have a great environment to watch this one. I think one of my few regrets with the Penn State game was that I didn't have a major crowd of Northwestern fans around me to celebrate it. So let's go handle this one.
And with that, we'll go ahead and leave it there for tonight. Head to our website, westlappirates.com, where you can leave comments and questions. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, @WestlappPirates. You can always email us, westlappirates@gmail.com. Tune in next time as we give our visceral and statistical views on Northwestern athletics. And look for us in the West Tech lot of Martin Stadium, although we're not going to be at Martin Stadium anymore. Tip of our hat to that. But wherever we are, we'll be flying our red pirate flag because we give no quarter, especially the fourth. For John Lacombe and Eric Scaspa, I'm Sam Walter. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.